Not a lecture, and there are no next. Thank you very much indeed. Just a couple of things. First of all, I've just started this job running the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council, and we're an organisation that just tries to bring businesses together from across the now 53 countries of the Commonwealth to sell each other goods, provide each other with services, and invest in each other. So it's a very simple proposition. We're not a lobbying organisation, we don't campaign on issues, and most importantly of all, you'll be very pleased to know we do not produce policy papers. You think actually people having a chat is far more worthwhile. So let me just tell you a few of my thoughts, and they come, although I'm British, I've spent most of my life living in Commonwealth countries, and I was born in Hong Kong and didn't come to Britain for the first 10 years of my life. So I'm just going to give you a quick perspective from the sorts of things I'm hearing from Commonwealth businesses across the piece, and particularly from Commonwealth businesses in Africa, in Singapore, Malaysia and Australia and New Zealand. And I hope this provides you with a bit of insight in the way in which you might see business opportunities with the British and with British companies. First of all, I think a lot of Commonwealth countries are slightly worried that British entrepreneurs have forgotten what it means to do international trade. And as a colleague in Australia put it to me, he said the interesting thing about British exports is most of them go to a part of the world where you're not exporting. The only export thing about it is you're changing currency. Everything else is a domestic market. So the first thing I'd like to say is you have to remember a lot of British businesses are not used to the full gamut of doing export genuinely with all the things that go with that. So the opportunity to help guide British companies into the world of true exports, particularly exporting whatever happens in terms of the trade agreement with the European Union, helping British companies through that process, I think will be a very, very valuable service. The second thing is, I think, obviously my friend and colleague Peter from the London Chamber will have more to say on this, I imagine, but it's about the nature of British business. Now, of course, there are big businesses here, there's lots of service industries, but the thing I find most captivating and the thing which is attracting the interest of a lot of Commonwealth countries about Britain is the emergence of small-scale, highly innovative, disruptive, technology-based companies which are emerging in the UK. And the fact that most of these are very small enterprises, driven by brilliant innovators who are trying to go through that very narrow tube from being brilliant innovator through the narrow tube into being brilliant entrepreneur and then having a scalable product. And I think that transition from innovation to entrepreneur is the real construction point at the moment. I imagine it is in lots of countries, but there is a lot of opportunity and a lot of interest in other parts of the Commonwealth into tapping into that, getting those British innovations into being entrepreneurial activity in their countries, and particularly how do you actually finance that, and the opportunity the Commonwealth offers for a family of nations that has no common jurisdiction but common habits. I think that's the best way to think about the Commonwealth. It doesn't have single ways of doing things, but it does habitually behave in the same way. Is that you could have an innovator in one country, an entrepreneur in the second, and the finance coming from a third, because they all live and talk and breathe in the same way. So that channel, I think, is potentially very, very, very exciting. And the third thing is the movement of Britain in some way or other, whatever the deal is, into being an instinctively free trade liberal nation on its own to a greater or lesser extent. I think there's a shot in the arm to Commonwealth trade. Because the Commonwealth tends to be free trade and trade liberal. It's a community of nations that tends to see, despite the fact sometimes it's a struggle, tends to see regulation as a means to enabling and encouraging and catalysing trade, not as a political football to be used as a means of creating mercantilist advantage. So I think there is, in dealing with Britain, you need to start thinking about how does it relate to the Commonwealth ethos around the nature of trade. And the final thing is about the Commonwealth and Britain within the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is basically 1/4 of the world's GDP, 1/3 of the world's population, and by the end of next year there will be 1 billion middle-class people within it. The middle class of India now is bigger than the entire population of the current European Union. This is potentially a huge market, potentially a huge market for high quality goods, products and services, and for bespoke goods, qualities and services. And within that middle class is emerging big domestic investment resources. So I think it's an interesting community. But the final thing is to say, please remember the Commonwealth is not like the European Union. One thing you have to do is convince some British politicians it isn't the European Union. It is fundamentally different. It's a community, a family of nations that has the ability to do things pretty quickly if it chooses, because they're already doing things in very similar ways. So think of it as a family and not as a business. That's does that help?
Thank you. If you have any questions for Richard, please feel free. Otherwise, we will let him enjoy his lunch.
Yes, Richard, this is from one Richard to another. So as you know, we've got the Heads of Government Conference coming up in London, and you'll be hosting and organising and hosting the Business Forum. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about that, because I think it'd be great for some Adam Global members to come along to it.
Yeah. Well, the Business Forum, basically the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting is a sort of week-long event. It ends with all the heads of government actually just sitting in a room talking with each other. I have to say, one day they spend, if I can be frank, crafting a communique that very few people are likely to read. But actually the most valuable time is when they all just go into session together without officials. And I think that's a very valuable gathering. The 3 days beforehand, though, there is a number of fora, of which the biggest is the Commonwealth Business Forum, where we try to bring chairs and C-suite companies from across the Commonwealth. So there are major companies from every Commonwealth nation. Obviously, a major company in India is a slightly different scale to a major company from the Cook Islands, but they are still big players in their own places and have huge influence. So it is a gathering of, if you like, the driving distances from a third of the world's population, and a quarter of the world's GDP. And we run this meeting, we try to have as few big plenaries with people reading speeches that somebody else wrote, and much more panel discussions, so that when people are attending, they are witness to a discussion they can't just read on a piece of paper. And we try to have many of these things in round table format. So over the 48 hours, there are 40 different sessions on a wide range of stuff which interests and engages not just businesses, but the regulators and the government representatives we bring along. In particular, there's a lot of what we call sub-sovereign attendance. You have to remember, a lot of the Commonwealth has hugely devolved internal structures. So, for instance, when any of you have dealt with Australia will realise that actually most trade in Australia is driven by the states and the territories, not by Canberra. So they are there. Again, in Nigeria, some of the most powerful states such as Lagos, Imo, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River, the really big oil states and financial states will be there in their own right. So that's basically it. The opportunity, again, though, is not to come out with communiques where everyone pretends they agree, but to actually have meetings where people can actually discuss the things that divide them, and we try and record that so that people can then take forward this discussion. And we really hope in the 48 hours somebody's going to do some deals as well, because in the end, people aren't doing deals, they're not making money. If they're not making money, they're not paying taxes. They're not paying taxes, people don't get cured in hospital, and people don't get educated. So that's in the end what we want. Does that?
Sure, and we can come to it.
We can come to it. You have to go on the website, you have to apply. There's a limited number of places, but please apply and we'll do our best to get it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.